大家好，我们这边是 Bernie，然后我是 Vivian，我今天会帮 Bernie 翻译他讲话的内容，然后我们今天会一起做这个 webinar。
I will remind everybody that you can send questions in by typing in and logging on, and we will answer all of your questions today. If you need to reach me after the end of this webinar, you can email me. My email is my name, bernard@wolfsdorf.com.
在这个讲座的期间，大家可以通过屏幕上的那个对话框来提出问题，我们会对所有的问题进行回答。然后今天的讲座结束之后呢，大家也可以给 Bernie 发 email 提出你们的问题，他的 email 地址是bernard@wolfsdorf.com。
I also want to mention that a very, very important thing, we have just completed one of the most busiest periods in the history of EB-5, and as everybody knows, the program was extended for a very short period to December 11, 2015.
上个月呢，我们几乎是EB-5有史以来最忙的一个月。我们完成了大量的 filing， 然后大家也知道这个 EB-5项目现在被暂时的延期到今年的12月11号。
The three topics that I will talk about is the extension, what we expect, and what will be included in the extension.
今天会谈到的三个话题，第一个是有关于EB-5项目延期的内容。
The second topic is going to be the October and November visa bulletin published by the Department of State and now Immigration as well.
第二个话题是10月和11月的这个由国务院发出的 visa bulletin， 也就是签证排期表，和他们最近的一些变化。
I want to make one comment about the visa bulletin so everybody is clear in terms of what is going on right now.
我现在想对这个签证排期表做一个评论，让大家了解一下这个到底是一个什么样的情况。
The visa bulletin is nothing but a summary of the waiting line and where you are in position in the waiting line.
签证排期表基本上是一个对所有申请人排期时间的一个预测，以及它可以初步的告诉你大概在整个申请过程中排期的日期和你排期的一个进程。
On September the 9th of this year, the government published two waiting line lists, two different waiting line numbers.
在今年的9月9号的时候，政府公布了第一次出现了两个不同的排期表。
The one is called the date for filing, and the other one is the date for approval, final action.
第一个表叫做是签证申请日期表，第二个表叫做最终批准日期表。
So one is a filing number, the number for filing, and the other one is the number for approval.
所以一个是递交申请的日期，一个是给你一个可以获得最终批准的日期。
I am sure that every single one of you is confused as to what this means for your individual clients.
可能大家现在就是比较不确定说这两个表到底对于每一个申请人会有怎么样的影响。
I can absolutely assure you that the confusion is not because of you, but it is because the government has not itself worked out what these two numbers are and what they mean.
现在不只是你们大家对于这两个表有很多的疑问，就连美国政府移民局他们自己对公布出来的两个表上面的数据也是 比较不清楚的。
So while these Visa Bulletin is absolutely critical in terms of when you get your green card and whether your family will be included, the government has not yet provided the answers and does not yet know itself what these two different numbers mean.
虽然这两个列表对于各位申请人的申请进程来说是非常的重要的，而且对于决定您的小孩是否会因此超龄也是一个非常重要的决定因素，但是现在政府并没有完全清楚的解释这两个表是什么意思，而且我们认为政府它甚至都不是很知道要怎么样去使用这两个表。
The good news is I will be doing another panel with Charlie Oppenheim in Dallas on the 22nd or 23rd of this month, and the government is saying that they may have the answers within the next week or two.
好消息是我们会在这个月的22号、23号在德州达拉斯跟移民局的高层官员进行一个对话，他们说到时候可能会有一个可能会对这个情况会有所回复。
The third question I want to talk about is whether to apply to adjust in the US to file an I-485 or to process your green card in Guangzhou if you are Chinese.
第三个今天要谈到的主题是是在美国递交485申请转身份呢，还是在对于中国申请人来说在广州进行大使馆面试。
The good news here is that I have very clear answers and guidance, and the answer is if you can adjust in the US, absolutely and always adjust in the US.
我们对这个情况的态度是，如果你能在美国转身份，这是最好的办法，就请尽量可以在美国递交485。
There are three reasons why I believe adjusting in the US is the best.
为什么一定要在美国做这个485，这是最好的选择呢？原因有3个。
Number one is 90% of the cases don't even have an interview. The green card is approved through the mail.
因为在美国转身份的申请90%都是不需要面试的，就是他们直接就是通过email 或者是通过给你的通信就直接批准你的申请了。
The second important reason is that 3 months after you file to adjust, you automatically get unrestricted work permit, unrestricted travel permit.
第二个原因是你递交转身份的申请之后3个月之内，你就可以得到一个工卡，并且还可以得到那个工卡上还有一个可以旅游的一个，它是一个2卡合一的一个 combo card， 所以你就是可以无限制的工作和出入境美国。
So it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get the green card because you can work, you can travel, and there's even an advantage because you are not yet a resident for tax purposes merely because you got a green card.
所以就是如果你拿到这个 combo card， 就是这个工卡的话，你其实根本不需要说马上要拿到绿卡，对你来说就是没有什么特别大的影响了，因为有这个工卡，你可以工作，可以旅游。还有一个好处是你在你还没有成为永久居民，就是还没有拿到绿卡之前，你用这个工卡是不用像永久居民一样跟美国政府报税的。
Now I'm going to go into the specifics of these topics to educate you. This is a little bit of information about our firm, but not so interesting.
现在我们一个一个进行以下的主题，这个是我们律所的一些基本的信息。
I must remind everybody that I'm not providing legal advice. If you need legal advice, you need to email me and get a specific answer. I'm trying to cover the whole topic.
现在要强调一点的是，这个本次的演讲不构成我们律所的任何法律服务。如果你需要专业的咨询的话，请单独给我们发 email 或者是联系我们。
I'm going to go very quickly through some of these slides because I know many of you are experienced, but you have to learn the correct words.
下面的几个页面呢，我们可能会走得快一些这是一个基本的我们今天会谈到的一些专业术语的解释，大家可以稍微看一下。
The first and most important is the Visa Bulletin, which is published every month, usually around the 9th or 10th of the month, which will give you the numbers for the next month.
第一个是 Visa Bulletin， 就是我们讲到的签证排期表，是那个国务院每个月大概9号10号会公布的一个排期表，它一般就是前一个月会公布下一个月的一个数据。
The new Visa Bulletin is the bulletin that was published in October and November, and I call it the new Visa Bulletin because it has two different sets of numbers with two completely different meanings.
我们所说的新版的排期表呢，就是在今年的10月和11月的排期表。为什么叫它是新的排期表呢？因为它是第一次出现了在一个月里面出现了两组不同的数据，所以是两个不同的表。
The next one is the priority date. This is the date that your 526 is received, and that is your place in the waiting line. That is your number that you're waiting to get called.
Priority day 就是我们通常所说的优先日期，这个日期就相当于你在EB-5申请当中的排位，就是这个日期来决定你是否能进行下一步的动作。
The next term, which I call final action date or FAD, that is the date upon which your case can be finally approved. That is your real place in the waiting line. That is the when your priority date is reached, the government can then issue your green card.
Final Action Day FAD 是我们讲的最终批准的日期，就是说你的绿卡申请最终可以被政府批准，也是我们以前旧表的形式里面所提到的 Cut Off Day。这是讲的就是你的就是政府最终可以把这个当做你最终排位的位置，就是说你可以最终拿到绿卡的日期。
The next date is this DFF or date for filing, which is the completely new information that is now published in the Visa Bulletin.
Date for filing 是这次就是10月11月出现的新的一个概念，它就是可以批准一部分申请人递交签证申请的日期。
What is so important is that this date is the date that you can use to file your adjustment application if you are in the US.
这个日期给我们提供的最重要的信息就是可以根据这个日期，如果申请人本身已经在美国持有合法签证的话，可以根据这个日期在美国直接转身份。
Previously, if you were doing EB-5 work, the only important thing to know is how to do your processing with the US consulate in Guangzhou.
就是我们以前知道的是，在EB-5申请过程当中，一个比较重要的就是你要怎么样去通过广州领事馆递交移民申请。
Now, there is a huge advantage if you can file an adjustment in the United States because it may cut the time that you have to wait by a year or 2 years or even more.
所以现在有了这个递交申请的日期 DFF 之后，最大的好处就是说你可以通过递交转身份的申请，让你的排期时间大大的缩短，有可能会缩短到1到2年或者更长。
So far, the government has said that you can use this date for the month of October to file adjustments.
目前政府是允许在10月内根据这个递交签证申请日期来提交你的转身份申请485申请。
They have not yet said that we can use these numbers for November. We expect to hear an announcement in the next week or two, but as of the present time, we only know that we can file adjustments for the month of October using the DFF date for filing?
政府还没有完全确定，就是可以在11月根据这个签证申请日期递交转身份的申请。我们现在可以肯定的是，在10月是可以递交这个转身份申请的，就是可以使用这个签证申请日期。我们希望政府可以在1到2周左右的时间来给我们一个确定答案，就是是否11月也可以根据这个日期来递交转身份的申请。
For those of you who are very experienced and the lawyers who are listening on the line, this is the old qualifying date that the State Department used to issue the NVC fee bill, and if this used to be an internal number that they would use to send out the fee bill, now they are using it potentially also to file an adjustment.
对于比较有经验的各位，可能理解上来说，这一个日期比较像是以前会有的用来发出签证申请费交费通知的那一个合格的日期。
This is a summary of what I have previously mentioned, so I will not repeat it other than to mention that for the month of October you can file an adjustment if you meet the DFF date.
这就是我们刚才提到的所有问题的一个总结，我们就不仔细的阐述了，就 basically 基本上就是说在10月可以如果你达到了递交签证申请日期的这个标准的话，你可以根据这个日期来递交你的调整身份的申请。
Previously, we only used to look at the visa bulletin. Now we have to look at this website as well to see whether immigration will allow you to file an adjustment. So we have to look at 2 separate sites every month, and this one will be updated about 1 week after. So we expect the government to release this information around the 17th or 18th. This is going to be just past the middle of the month. We have to check this website to see if we can file adjustments in November.
所以现在除了那个 Visa Bulletin 那个网站以外，大家还要关注这一个网站，就是通过这个网站来看政府怎么样回复我们是否能在11月继续递交那个转身份的申请。
So the important question to note here, and again reference to the same website, is this clarification which was just published.
我们想要提到这个网站上比较重要的信息，就是它所公布出来的这一段话。
The government has, on September the 9th, they announced that you can use the DFF for filing, and now they have backtracked already and said that you have to use the final action date for filing. So the big announcement that was made in September the 8th has already been reversed.
他们之前在9月9日第一次宣布了10月的那个签证排期表的时候说过，可以通过 DFF 就是递交签证申请的日期来做 adjustment 来做调整申请。但是现在呢，他们就已经改变了他们当初在9月9日的那个说法，就说只能由那个最终批准日期来作为决定是否可以提交申请的标准。
So it may be that we only have a very short window of 2 weeks to file adjustments because the government has already reversed itself.
所以现在看来有可能就是我们因为今天已经是本月的中旬了，所以我们可能只有2周的时间可以继续递交那个转身份的申请了，因为政府他们已经对之前说过的那个内容已经做出了改变，他们有一些反悔了。
So I want to show again the final action date. This is the original visa bulletin for October. People need to understand what these different categories are. If you come from any country other than China, there's really no issue because you have a C, meaning it's current and there's no waiting line.
现在 带大家了解一下这个表格的意思。我们现在看到的是9月9日发出的10月签证排期表的内容。对于那个不是中国大陆出生的申请人来说，其实没有任何问题，因为这个一直都是有名额的，所以你的申请只要526申请通过之后，你可以立即递交485申请，或者是通过领事馆来拿到移民签证。
The top category is for direct EB-5 and the bottom category is for regional center.
上面那一栏是那个EB-5直投的申请人，第二栏是区域中心申请人。
But as you can see, there's no difference in the waiting line for either category.
但是两类那个排期的时间都是一样的。
So to be very clear, based on this, you cannot be issued a green card in Guangzhou or approved for adjustment unless the case was filed before October 7, 2013. So the only approval that you can get for a green card on EB-5 if you're born in China is if your case was filed on October 7, 2013 or earlier, meaning that it's at least a 2-year wait for a green card in the month of October 2015.
所以大家可以看到，对于在中国大陆出生的申请人来说呢，如果以这个表以这个 FAD 日期为标准的话，就是对于中国大陆出生的申请人，就大概有2年这样子的一个排期。就是说，除非你的申请是在2013年10月8日之前递交的，也就是说最晚10月7日吧。如果是这个时间之前递交的，你才有可能得到最后的批准，去领事馆进行面签，拿到绿卡。
So every single person who is approved or going to be approved for a green card in Guangzhou will have filed their case before October 8, 2013.
所以说只有在2013年10月8日之前递交申请的申请人，在申请批准之后，才有可能从去广州领事馆签证。
And then in October, the government published this new thing called Date for Filing DFF, and it is very shocking to me and shocking to everybody. What is this new chart?
这个表呢，就是我们说的10月份新公布的一个 DFF 表，就是一个新的表。大家我们当时非常意外，也非常惊喜的看到他们公布了这样的一个数据。
For 40 of my clients, this chart is going to be a magical chart, a wonderful thing. We have already filed about 40 adjustment cases using this chart.
所以对于我们的一些客户来说，这个表简直就是天大的好消息。我们在这个月之内大概会递交，就是因为这个表的原因，我们可以递交大概40个转身份的申请。
What this chart means is that anybody whose case was filed before May 1, 2015 with an approval can file for adjustment in the US.
这个表带来的好处就是说，申请人的申请如果是在2015年5月1日之前递交的，并且526申请已经被批准了，就可以在美国转身份。
This was amazing to me because this is only 6 months away, and it basically means every single approval can be a basis to file for adjustment if the person is in the US.
这个表格对于我们来说就是一个非常好的消息，因为大家可以看到2015年5月1日是一个跟现在时间非常接近的一个时间点，意味着基本上所有的人只要申请批准了，然后人是在美国的话，就可以根据这个表来递交转身份的申请。
And again, this is also the date that is used to issue the fee bill from NVC. So every case that was filed before May 1, 2015, which again is every case, can get and will get a fee bill so they can pay the fee and file the DS-260 form.
就算是人不在美国的申请人呢，他们也是根据这个日期，就是2015年5月1日这个日期来发出签证收费的那个收费单。所以就是说，只要你是2015年5月1日之前递交的申请，然后这个申请如果已经批准了，移民局就会把那个移民签证收费单发给你，你就可以支付签证费以及递交 DS-260。
What the government hasn't worked out is that even though you get the fee bill, and even though you pay the fee bill, and even though you do your DS-260, they have not yet told us that that protects the child's age permanently.
但是现在政府还没有确定的一件事情，就是说，如果根据这个 DFF 表，你已经收到了 fee bill， 就是已经收到了签证费的收费单，并且你支付了签证费，也交了 DS-260，那这个到底能不能锁住你的小孩子的年龄，这是政府都还没有完全给出解答的一个问题。
However, you as an agent or you as a lawyer must pay the fee bill immediately and file the DS-260, because if the government later says that that payment is the act of freezing the child's age, it will be very good.
但是作为给大家的建议来说，我们希望就是有这个条件可以做到这一步，就是支付签证费和递交 DS-260的人来说，就是尽快的去做这件事情。因为如果政府稍后说这样做可以锁住小孩子的年龄的话，那就是非常有帮助的事情了。
And again, in this chart, this is the word of the visa bulletin. It may be used. It does not have to be used. It can be used for October. They have not said we can use it for November.
下面这个解释就是他们在10月的签证排期表上解释的说这个新的这个表格可以作为递交签证申请的一个标准，但是在11月的签证排期表上面这句话被拿掉了，所以11月的情况我们还不确定。
So again, for October, the date, the DFF, the date for filing controls to file the adjustment, anybody, which is everybody, before May can go ahead and file an adjustment. People who are not born in China, obviously they can file an adjustment. So this is a very wonderful thing that happened in October.
所以在10月里面呢，只要是你的526申请已经批准了，几乎就是可以，如果你是中国的申请人的话，几乎就是可以递交485了。然后对于非中国出生地的申请人来说，只要526申请批准以后，你就可以在任何时间递交转身份申请的485申请。
So let me put this in very simple terms. What this October visa bulletin did is that for people in the US who were from China, they removed the waiting line completely. Everybody was in the US who got an approval from China has no waiting line problem.
所以简单来说，这个10月签证排期表对于中国的申请人，现在在美国拿着合法签证的中国申请来说，基本上是把所有的排期都解除了。中国申请人如果是在美国的话，在10月可以递交485的申请来说，你就完全没有排期了。
Now we have the final action date for November, the new visa bulletin, with the final date for approval of cases.
现在大家看到的是11月的签证排期表，然后是最终批准日期的这一个表。
I was very happy to see this because basically the government moved the date from October 8 to November 22.
也有一个比较好的现象，就是排期时间呢，从10月的那个2013年11月2013年8月移到了2013年11月。
So in 1 month, the government moved the numbers forward by 6 weeks. So in a 4-week period, they moved the number forward by 6 weeks. So it's a 50% increase in the forward movement of numbers.
所以比较好的一个情况就是在1个月之内，他们把排期时间提前了6个星期，也就是说有一个50%的时间的增长。
What made me happy about this is that the waiting line for Chinese visa applicants, instead of getting longer, because it was at 24 months, got shorter. It went from 24 months to 23 months. So the waiting line for Chinese actually improved in the month of November.
所以对于中国申请人来说，这个排期还是没有我们担心的那样说倒退了，就是没有变长，反而变短了。所以现在排期的时间变到大约是23个月。
So people who are going out there saying, oh, the Chinese waiting line is going to go to 3 years or 5 years, well, in the month of November it got shorter, not longer.
所以之前大家担心说中国申请人的排期会达到3到5年的时间，但是我们现在通过11月的签证排期表看来的话，这个排期时间没有变长，反而变短了。
So to make this clear for those of you who are new, unless your case was filed on November 21, 2013, you cannot have an interview in Guangzhou.
所以根据这个表来说的话，如果只有你的申请是在2013年11月22日之前递交的，你才可以在广州大使馆面签。
And unless your case was filed November 21, 2013, you cannot be approved for adjustment in the US.
对于在美国转身份的人来说也是一样的，就是你的申请必须是2013年11月22日之前递交的，你的485申请才会被批准。
So here we have November, the new chart for DFF, date for filing.
这是11月的那个新的表格 DFF 递交签证申请日期表格。
No change from October.
跟10月的数据是一样的。
The problem is we're waiting for immigration to make an announcement that we can use these dates to file adjustment, and we're going to have to wait another week for that.
但是现在可能我们还要再等1周的时间才能得到政府的回复，就是说我们是不是能在11月继续使用这个表递交485申请。
So this again is the language from the visa bulletin, and it's very different in November from what they said in October.
这是他们在这个签证排期表下面的解释，跟10月的内容不一样了。
So again, we're waiting for an announcement, and if the government makes the announcement, we will be able to file adjustments again in November, but they have not yet done that.
所以现在我们还是在等政府的官方回复，如果他们说我们11月还可以使用这个表递交转身份申请的话，那就是一个非常好的消息，我们就还可以在11月还可以继续交485。
So on about November 16 or 17, immigration will give us guidance on which number we can use to file an adjustment, the filing date or the final action date.
大概在下个月11月16号、17号的时候，政府会宣布说我们到底可以使用哪一个表格的数据，是 FAD 还是 DFF 来决定是否可以递交485申请。
So I don't need to summarize this again. I think I've explained it very clearly, but the question is, for the 5th time, will immigration allow us to use the date for filing, DFF or FAD for November?
这是对我们刚才讲话内容的一个总结，所以就是说现在主要的问题就是我们还是在等移民局官方的宣布说11月到底是根据 FAD 还是根据 DFF 来递交485申请。
So let's talk a little bit about Child Status Protection Act.
现在我们来讨论一下儿童移民身份保护法，也就是 CISPA 的问题。
I get emails every day, and I answer these emails. Am I protected or am I not protected?
我们每天都能收到关于 CISPA 的问题，就是到底这个小孩子的年龄根据 CISPA 到底他有没有被锁住，他能不能跟父母一起移民。
Those cases that were approved before May 1, 2015 are in a very good situation.
对于2015年5月1日递交的申请，并且被批准的申请来说，这些申请人的情况是比较好的。
The critical point in analysis under the Child Status Protection Act is, when is the visa available?
我们来计算小孩子年龄是否超龄的时候，最重要的一个概念就是说，签证在什么时候是有名额的。
CISPA really only allows you to deduct the time that the petition was pending.
这个儿童移民身份保护法，它允许你可以把那个申请在审核的时间从小孩子的年龄当中减去。
Most cases that we're getting approved today have been pending for about 1 year.
现在大部分的526申请呢，它的审核时间是1年左右。
But if the government allows you to freeze the child's age permanently using the DFF or date for filing, this is very good for the children.
如果政府同意我们可以使用 DFF 来冻结小孩子的年龄的话，这就是对于即将超龄的小孩是一个非常非常好的消息。
If the government only allows us to use the word available under the final action date, then many children will age out.
但是如果政府最后决定说我们只能用FAD 就是最终批准日期来判断这个签证是有名额的这种情况的话，那很多小孩子的年龄可能就无法锁住，他们最终就会超龄。
As I said earlier, nobody knows the answer to this question because the government hasn't decided which one they're going to use.
我们现在还不知道政府最终的回答，因为他们还在继续讨论这个问题。
I expect them to make a decision in the next week or two.
但是我们希望他们会在接下去1-2周的时间之内给我们一个最终的答复。
Unfortunately, they never considered this question before they came up with this concept of DFF. It wasn't carefully considered and worked out. Basically, they released a beta model with bugs.
所以可以看出政府他们在没有经过非常仔细的考量之前，就把这个DFF 这个概念给公布出来了，所以我们造成了现在很多的困惑。
I know your clients and your customers won't believe this when you tell them that the government rolled out a new system without considering it, but that's the truth.
可能这个情况很难相信，但是事实上就是政府他们在尚未考虑清楚这个问题之前，就把这个事实给公布出来，就把这个信息给公布出来了。所以可能客户可能也比较难以理解这个情况。
The government scheduled a stakeholder call on September 16, but had to cancel it because they did not have the answers to these questions.
他们本来准备在9月16号的时候要召开一个公众会议，就是关于EB-5的公众会议，但就是因为这个情况，他们尚且没有得出一个最终的结论，所以他们把这次电话会议给取消掉了。
So while every day we have cases where these must be answered, there are no answers as of the present time.
所以直到今天我们还没有一个最终的准确的答复。
So I want to explain this for everybody because the government has answered this question that I have been asking for many months.
政府已经回答过了以下的这个问题。
Whether the child is protected or not, I cannot answer. But what I can answer is, how do you protect the child?
我现在可能没办法回答你小孩子年龄是不是锁住了，但是我可以回答你如何去锁住一个小孩子的年龄。
So if you are a lawyer or agent or whatever you are, you must do these things that I'm going to say.
所以不管你是律师还是中介，你应该去做我接下来要说的内容。
And if you do these things, and if the government says that they will work off the DFF, not the FAD, then your child will be protected forever.
如果你做了我接下来说的事情，然后政府接下去宣布说你就是按照 DFF 来以 DFF 为准的话，那你的小孩子的年龄就锁住了。
So basically, every case that's being approved now is being issued a fee bill.
所有被批准的申请人都会收到一个签证申请费的付费单。
It may take 1 or 2 months to issue it, and they may leave the wife and children or spouse and children off, but they will issue it.
通常是在申请批准之后1到2个月之内会发出这个付费单。但是他们有时候呢会发生一些错误，就是可能会把附属申请人的通知单给漏掉。
Once they issue that fee bill, you must pay it as soon as possible.
一旦他们发出了这个付费单，你需要尽快的支付签证费。
If you do nothing else but pay the fee bill, your child has got CISPA protection.
你只要付了签证费，你的小孩就是他的年纪就已经锁住了。
You do not even have to file the DS-260.
你甚至不需要递交 DS-260。
But I'm going to recommend that you pay the fee bill and file the DS-260.
但是我们建议大家就是在支付申请费的同时，也递交 DS-260。
If no fee bill is issued after 30 to 60 days, you should contact the NVC to request one.
如果在申请通过后30到60天之内还没有收到付费单的话，你需要跟国家签证中心，就是 NVC 联系，去向他们索要这个付费单。
If you cannot get a fee bill because the NVC just doesn't want to issue it, just file the DS-230.
如果因为任何原因你没有及时的收到这个付费单的话，你就递交 DS-230。
The DS-230 is the old form. You can find it online by searching.
DS-230是以前一个旧版的表格，在网上可以找到的。
And here's something that's a little bit strange, but we live in a strange world. A few months after you file the DS-230, the government will return them to you.
在你递交了 DS-230之后呢，政府就是非常有可能他们是不收这个申请的，他们会拒绝接收你的 DS-230。
But they will send you a letter saying, we're sending this back.
但是他们拒收你的 DS-230的时候呢，会给你发出一个证据，就是说我们拒绝接收你的 DS-230。
The important thing is that you tried to protect the child by filing the forms, and it is the fact that you tried which protects the child.
我们为什么要这样做呢？就是因为我们锁住小孩子的年龄需要有一定的动作，只要你做出了这个动作，你小孩子的年龄就可以锁住。所以虽然 DS-230最终会被政府拒绝，但是他们通过他们的拒信作为一个你做出了锁住小孩子年龄动作的一个证据，就表示说你的小孩子年龄已经锁住了。
And I've said this many times, but I'm going to say it again. However, if the principal applicant and the child are in the US, you should absolutely file the adjustment before the end of October.
当然最好的途径就是说，如果申请人和那个小孩子已经是持有效签证在美国的话，一定要在10月结束之前递交那个485转身份申请。
So these are the 4 things you can do to protect a child.
所以以下4个就是你可以锁住小孩年龄的办法。
Number 1, file the adjustment.
第一就是在美国递交485转身份申请。
Number 2, file DS-260 and pay fee bill.
第二个就是递交 DS-260 并且支付签证费。
Number 3, if there's no fee bill, file DS-230.
如果没有收到签证费，就递交 DS-230。
Number 4, file form I-824.
第4个是递交824表格。
Again, they're going to return number 3 and number 4. They're going to be sent back to you.
824表格和 DS-230的用途是一样的，就是他们不会接收第3、第4的这2个文件。
But that will still be evidence that you tried to protect the child by filing, and that's the value.
但是他们的拒信就可以作为你已经做出锁住小孩子年龄动作的证据，到最后可以用于保护你小孩子的移民资格。
You may say, where do I get this information from? How do I know this is accurate?
你可能会问，为什么我会知道有这样的办法呢？
The answer is, the government gives it to me.
我的回答是政府告诉我这样做的。
And the government expects me to share it with you.
并且移民局希望我把这个信息分享给大家。
So I am very comfortable that this is good advice.
所以我们非常有自信的告诉大家，以上是我们的建议，大家可以照着这样做。
Although, of course, it's not official.
虽然这个建议并不是由官方做出的。
So why doesn't the government publish this officially?
所以为什么政府他们不自己通过官方的公布来告诉大家这样的做法呢？
Because they're still in beta model. They're trying to work this out for months, and they're using me as part of their beta testing.
因为他们还是在讨论这些内容当中，他们希望通过我们来做一个测试。
You may find this very strange. I think it's strange myself.
大家可能觉得这样的做法很奇怪，但是我们也是觉得比较奇怪了。
So this is why, this is my view, I think the filing for adjustment is a big advantage, and number 1, you get the work permit, number 2, you get the travel permit.
所以我们认为在美国递交调整身份申请是一个非常好的选择，因为你不但可以获得工卡，你还可以获得自由出入境美国的这个旅游卡。
I think it's also the best way to freeze the child's age.
而且我们相信这是可以锁住小孩子年龄的最好的办法。
So, what are the requirements to file an adjustment? If I think it's the best one, how do you do it? Who's eligible?
现在我们要谈一下怎么样的人才有资格递交这个485调整身份的申请。
3 requirements.
有3个要求。
Number 1, the visa must be available.
第一，签证必须是有名额的状态。
For the month of October, that's any case approved before May 2015.
所以在10月看来的话，按照10月的表格，就是说在2015年5月1日递交的，并且批准的所有申请人。
For the month of November, we will all learn the answer in 1 or 2 weeks.
对于11月的表格，我们现在还没有一个确定的答案，还要再等1-2周才有确定的答案。
The second requirement to file an adjustment is you must have been legally in the United States at all times of your life.
第二个是你必须在美国持有合法的非移民身份，也就是说你在美国这段时间之内一直都是以一个合法的身份居住的。
If you overstayed by 1 day 3 years ago, your adjustment will be denied.
就算你比如说你3年前在美国滞留了超过你签证允许时间，滞留了就算超过1天，你的转身份申请也是会被拒签的。
If you work without permission for 1 day, your adjustment must be denied. But even if it is denied, you can still apply for your green card in Guangzhou. Applying for adjustment does not prohibit you from going to Guangzhou if you are denied. So you get 2 chances.
但是就算你的485被拒签了，你还是可以回到中国去由广州领事馆拿到你的签证。
Some students in the US are out of status and they have to get reinstated.
有的在美国的拿 F1 学生签证的一些人，他们有可能曾经F1 的身份被取消过，然后又重新获得了。
Because they were reinstated, they have to admit that they were out of status and the adjustment will be denied.
但是你重新获得 F1 身份的时候，就是相当于承认了你曾经以没有任何身份的状态在美国待过一段时间，所以这样的人是不能申请485的。
I'm seeing this problem with 1 or 2 cases that we have.
这种情况不是很多见，我们大概看到过1到2个。
I don't want to spend too much time with this chart, but I want to explain again how this works. 21-year-old has 1 year until he turns 21. You are allowed to add the 1 year for adjudication, so that is 2 years. If you are backlogged less than 2 years, a 20-year-old at the time of filing is protected.
我们现在简单讲一下如何计算小孩子是不是会超龄的问题。比如说一个20周岁的小孩，他也就是说他还有1年的时间才满21周岁。我们知道21周岁以上的小孩不能跟父母一起移民，所以他有1年的时间满21周岁，然后加上我们现在平均526申请的时间是1年，所以加上1年，也就是说他还有2年才会超龄。也就是在这个情况下，如果中国人排期少于2年的话，小孩子是不会超龄的，是会被保护的。
So for November, the waiting line went back to 23 months.
所以按照11月公布的排期来看的话，现在排期时间是23个月。
With 23 months, a 20-year-old could be safe.
如果排期一直在23个月的话，20周岁的小孩是安全的。
But with a 21-year-old, scratch that. But if the waiting line goes to 3 years, the 20-year-old will not be safe and will age out.
但是如果之后排期时间增加到3年的话，在这样看来，这个20周岁的小孩就很容易会超龄了。
That is, unless the government allows us to use the date for filing to protect the child.
但是如果政府最终允许我们使用那个 DFF 的日期来锁住小孩子的年龄化，对于20周岁的小孩也是可以锁住的。
If they allow us to use the DFF, the whole mathematical equation changes.
如果政府允许我们使用 DFF 的数据的话，整个计算方法都会被改变。
To summarize, if they allow us to use the DFF, in many cases the 19-year-old will be safe.
简单来说就是如果政府允许我们用 DFF 来锁住小孩子的年龄的话，对于大部分19岁的小孩子来说是安全的。
So we're looking forward to the government releasing the final model, not the beta model.
所以我们现在就是在等政府最终确认如何来使用这2个表格。
So here's a typical case that we see quite often.
这是我们最常收到的客户的问题。
The priority date, or PD, is the date the 526 was filed in March 2014.
大家可以看到这里的 priority date 就是优先日期是2014年3月17号。
The child in this case was only a few months away, 7 months away from turning 21.
这个中国的小孩，他的现在从他生日可能看见他可能就是已经快要满21周岁了。
And in this case, the child turned 21 on August 2014.
小孩满21周岁的时间是2014年8月12号。
And the case was approved about 1 year later in September 2015, a month ago.
现在就是在递交申请1年之后，这个526申请被批准了，在2015年9月14日。
Now, the very good thing about this case is it was pending for quite a long time, almost a year and a half. So you're allowed to deduct more time. In this case, because the case was pending a year and a half, it gives you more protection for the child.
这个可以看到，因为这个 case 已经can you go back？这个 case 已经审核时间比较长，是大概一年半左右的时间，所以这个时间是可以从小孩子的年龄当中减去的。在这样看来的话，这个审核时间越长，小孩子是越安全的。
So, continuing, this is the same application and we're doing the analysis of this case.
我们用刚才的同样的这个案例来计算以下的内容。
This child was over 22 years old when the case was approved.
小孩子在申请批准的时候已经超过了22岁。
But once you deduct the 546 days, the child's CISPA age is 20 years, 7 months, 7 days.
但是虽然这个小孩子的实际年龄已经超过22岁，但是我们减去了526审批的时间，也就是1年半的时间之后呢，可以看到他的 CISPA age 就是计算出来的年龄是20岁7个月7天，也就是少于21周岁，所以他的年龄是没有超龄的。
So in this particular case, the child went back to being under 21. And then the law requires you to seek to acquire. The law requires you to do things. File DS-260s, pay fee bills. You have to do that when the visa is available.
所以我们看到他现在虽然我们计算出来的他的 CISPA 年龄已经是小于21岁了，但是法律要求你必须要做出一定的动作才能锁住小孩子的年龄，而你做这个动作的时候必须是签证有名额的状态，你才能做出一系列的动作去冻结小孩子的年龄。
But is it available based on the May 1, 2015 date, or is it available based on the October 2013 date?
但是什么样的情况才叫做签证有名额呢？是根据 FAD 的那个数字，还是根据 DFF 的表格为准？
So if on this case they allow you, basically in this case, the person has to be current before February 2016. This person has 3 or 4 months left to become current under the final action date.
所以如果我们以 FAD 这个表格为准的话，可以看到这个情况可能是比较危险的，因为你必须要在2016年2月，也就是4个月以内，你的优先日期要达到那个 FAD 日期之前，你才可能锁得住小孩子的年龄。这种情况就是有一点点的可能会很近。
So the simple bottom line and conclusion is that in this case, if we have to use the final action date, the child will age out. If we can use the DFF date, the child will be safe.
所以这就是一个很好的例子，就是说如果我们可以使用 DFF 日期的话，这个小孩子就安全了，他的年龄肯定锁得住。但是如果最终我们只能使用 FAD 这个日期作为锁住年龄，就是签证有名额的标准的话，这个小孩子很可能就会超龄了。
Two completely different answers depending on which date you use, and we will know hopefully in the next few weeks which one we are allowed to use, the good one DFF or the bad one FAD.
所以大家可以看到使用这两个不同的表格得出来的那个结果是完全不一样的。如果只能使用 FAD 这个情况就是比较糟糕的，但是如果我们到时候可以使用 DFF 的话，这个小孩就安全了。所以我们现在关键是要等待那个政府给出我们最后的答复。
So we can be hopeful. In this case, I am very worried about this client.
我们现在是对于这个客户是比较担心的。
Because my experience is when the government can do a good thing or a bad thing, they do not do the good thing.
以我的经验来看的话，当政府面临着一个好的决定和坏的决定的时候，他们通常会走那个比较坏的决定的那一条路。
So what would I do in this case? Here's what I would do. If I can, and I already have, if this child is in the United States, I'm going to file an adjustment.
所以如果是我们的话会怎样做呢？就是如果这个小孩子已经在美国，主申请人也在美国，那么就尽快递交485申请。
I'm also going to recommend, as has already happened, they file the DS 260 and pay the fee bill.
如果是在中国的话，就尽快递交 DS 260，并且支付签证费。
So even though I have the problem and I don't know the cure, I'm using all the medicine available.
所以就像是有这个问题了，但是你不知道哪一个选择，你不知道最终结果怎样，所以你必须要采取所有你可以做到的办法来锁住小孩子的年龄。
I know this is frustrating, but each one of you has been sitting struggling to get the answer, and you could not find the answer, and I'm explaining to you why you cannot find the answer.
所以我们知道这个情况是对于大家来说特别模糊的一个情况。
So let's look a little bit more. What if the child is in the US with a student visa, but the mother or father is in China with a tourist visa?
如果小孩子在美国拿的是学生签证，但是他不是主申请人，主申请人是父亲或者母亲，然后主申请人只有美国旅游签证的情况，应该怎么办？
So the child cannot file, the derivative child cannot file unless the principal files.
如果是交485的话，必须是主申请人跟副申请人一起递交，所以如果主申请人不在美国，作为副申请人的小孩子是不能单独递交485的。
So the question is, should the mother come into the US on a visitor's visa to file?
所以这个主申请人就是父母能不能拿旅游签证入境美国再递交485呢？
And the answer is the government does not want you to come in on a tourist visa and then file for a green card 30 days later.
通常来说呢，政府是不希望你拿着旅游签证入境美国，就是你告诉他们你是来旅游的，但是入境之后却递交了移民申请，就是485申请，他们是非常反感这种做法的。
But what if the mother came here in July or August 2 or 3 months ago to help the child adapt to school and find an apartment? And we have many of those cases, people coming to the US on visitors visas with the child coming to school, and they were already here when we got the approval.
但是如果这个父母是持旅游签证在美国一段时间了，比如说来陪小孩子读书，比如说今年7月就来了，就一直在美国，这种情况呢，可能会有一定的转机。
It is my position that if the mother entered before September 9, 2015, she could not have had the plan to file adjustment.
我们认为，如果父母就是作为主申请人的父母，是今年的9月9日之前持旅游签证入境美国，并且现在一直在美国的，可以有机会递交485申请。
So while normally I don't like it when somebody comes within 30 days and files an adjustment, in this case, because the government had not even announced that you could file, I am happy to file this kind of case.
虽然我们通常不建议申请人拿旅游签证入境美国，然后再递交485申请，但是因为通常这样的情况的话会被认定为你有移民倾向，就是你拿旅游签证进来，但是你却入境之后递交了移民申请。但是如果你是今年9月9日之前持旅游签证入境的， 那个时候你并不知道，因为那个9月9日之前政府还没有公布那个10月的签证排期那个2个表格，所以我们可以认定，如果是9月9日之前入境的，你不可能有移民的倾向，因为你不知道你入境之后2个月以后他出了这个表格，你可以递交485了。所以如果是9月9日之前持旅游签证入境的主申请人的父母，他们可以和小孩一起在美国境内递交485申请。
It's my belief that filing the 485 will lock the child's age, but the government has not yet put that in writing.
我们相信递交485可以锁住小孩子的年龄，虽然政府还没有最终以书面的形式来确认这一个情况。
So, 2 important things. Before you file a 526, you should definitely make sure that you have a 10-year visitor's visa or a student visa. Always get the tourist visa or student visa before you file for the green card.
这个问题我们之前也强调过，就是在你递交526申请之前，最好先拿一个10年的旅游签证，或者是5年的学生签证。
President Obama published guidelines on July the 16th, which says that investors should be able to obtain tourist visas to come and check out the project.
奥巴马总统在2015年7月16日的时候，已经宣布了投资移民的投资者可以拿旅游签证入境美国来看你所要选择的投资项目。
And they also republished the guideline that whether a student goes back home should be evaluated at the time of the interview, and that students do not have to prove 100% that they're going to go back in 3 or 4 years' time.
他们也重新定义了那个学生签证的签证意向问题，就是说，如果拿着学生签证在美国学习一段时间，然后又回中国去重新去大使馆签证的时候，你不一定要100%的证明你完全没有移民倾向，因为如果你的学业会持续到4、5年这样久的话，你的签证倾向有可能在中途改变。
These are very good things. My problem is that we still see that some applicants are denied tourist visas or student visas because they filed for a green card.
但是这个问题也没有完全的解决，因为我们还是能看到有小部分的投资移民申请人在递交了526申请之后就拿不到旅游签证或者是学生签证了，他们的签证会被拒签。
Over 90% of Chinese applicants apply for the green card in Guangzhou.
90%以上的EB-5申请人选择通过广州大使馆面签拿到绿卡。
So adjustment only helps 10%.
所以在美国递交485的申请的情况
For October, that number should go up.
在10月呢，我们可能会看到有更多的人会递交485申请。
If the EB-5 investor has a H1 or L1, then it's very easy.
如果EB-5申请人已经有一个 H1B 签证，就是工作签证，或者是 L 签证，跨国公司高管签证的话，这就是再递交485就是非常容易的事情了。
Because this visa has what we call dual intent.
因为这2种签证是可以有2种倾向的，就是可以有移民倾向的。
As I said earlier, if they came to the US on a B2 before September 9, they could not have had a plan to stay because the government had not released the visa bulletin.
但是就像我们之前提到的，就是如果你是9月9日之前拿旅游签证入境美国的，也可以证明你没有预设的移民倾向，因为那个时候还没有公布出10月的签证排期表。
What if the principal applicant is an F1 student? Must they wait 30 days after they enter as a student to file for adjustment?
那么持 F1 学生签证的申请人，他们是不是一定要在入境后等30天或60天才能转身份呢？来避免你当初签证的时候没有预设移民倾向的问题。
This is a very complicated question, but because October is such a unique situation with filing adjustments, if I had an F1, I would be comfortable to file it about 30 days after entry.
但是因为现在看来10月这个可以递交485申请的机会真的是弥足的珍贵，我们会希望拿 F1 签证的申请人也递交485申请。
This is the regulation about the 30-60-day rule.
这是关于那个30-60天的关于是否有移民倾向问题的法律条文。
It's very important to know that there's a rule that if you come on a tourist visa and file for a green card within 30 days, they think you may have lied on the tourist visa.
基本上就是说，如果一般来讲的话，如果你持旅游签证入境美国，然后在30天之内递交了绿卡申请绿卡的话，他们就会认为你在申请旅游签证的时候说谎了，就是对于自己的移民倾向这个问题有说谎的情况。
So while I'm saying filing an adjustment is a very good thing to do, you also have to be very careful not to break this rule.
所以虽然我们说需要大家尽量的递交这个485申请，但是你也必须要注意，就是有的情况可能会比你想象的复杂，因为有的时候这个每一个申请人的情况不一样，大家要多看这个法律的条文，多理解它一下。
Okay, we have had enough of the visa bulletin. I know that's very boring, but you have to understand it. So I have also spoken about whether or not you should file 485 or process in Guangzhou.
现在我们已经解释了签证排期表的内容，以及是否递交485签证485那个转身份申请的问题。
So now I want to talk about what's happening with extending the regional center program.
现在我们要讨论一下关于延长了EB-5区域中心项目的这一个话题。
Everybody knows we got a short 10-week extension.
大家都知道我们这个EB-5区域中心项目呢，已经暂时延期到2015年的12月11日。
Everybody wants to know, is the price going to go up?
大家都想知道这个投资金额是不是会涨。
Absolutely, the price is going to go up.
我们可以确定的是这个EB-5是一定会涨价的。
When is the price going to go up?
但是问题是什么时候会涨价？
That information is not being released by the government or any of the congressmen at this time.
现在来看，美国政府以及国会呢，还没有给出这个问题的最终答案。
The most recent information I obtained is from a inside newspaper published about congressional events.
我们拿到最新的消息呢，是通过一个内部的一个新闻，一个报纸。
It was reported just 2 or 3 days ago that the new bill has already been prepared. The Republican majority bill is ready.
我们知道的是2-3天以前，一个新的法案已经准备好了。
A deal has been reached.
然后他们也达成了一定的一致意见。
And the plan is to put it, and this is a big bill.
这是一个非常详细、非常长的一个法案。
My personal opinion is that it will be put into Congress and approved before the end of November.
我自己认为呢，这个法案会在11月之前被国会考虑并且通过。
So there is a possibility that the price increase may happen even before December 11.
所以有可能涨价甚至会在12月之前就开始了。
The message I would give to potential investors is to file your 526 immediately.
所以我们给想要有意向投资EB-5的投资人的建议就是尽快现在就递交你的526申请。
The government may not wait until December 11 to extend it. It may approve it in 2 or 3 weeks' time.
所以政府它不一定会等到2015年12月11日才那个延期，他们可能就是 近期2-3个星期之内都会有一些新的变化。
However, anybody who tells you that they have the answer to these questions is probably not telling the truth.
如果任何人告诉你他有最后准确的答案的话，这都不是一个真的。
The only thing I'm very comfortable with is it will be extended and it will be increased, and I would not wait till December 11 to do that.
我们能给出的信息是，这个EB-5项目会被延期，而且一定会涨价，而且希望大家不要等到12月再递交你的申请。
So the big problem here was the TEA issue.
所以现在讨论比较热门的话题就是关于这个 TEA 的定义问题。
That was 90% of the problem.
90%味觉不定的原因就是因为对于 TEA 的问题，那个国会不能达成一个一致的看法。
To put it simply, is the program going to go mainly with big urban projects in Los Angeles, New York, Seattle?
争议的重点就是说，这个EB-5项目是应该被放在大城市，像洛杉矶、纽约这样的大城市呢，还是应该集中在比较偏远的农村地区？
Or will there be more benefit to rural projects in smaller cities in states like Alabama and Iowa? And the answer is that I believe there will be a balance, that both the urban projects and the rural projects will continue, but there will be some advantage for rural projects.
我们的看法是，他们最终可能会在城市和农村之间取得一个平衡，但是可能会更偏向于把项目集中在农村地区。
So the big debate again is how to define that apparently has been resolved.
所以我们看到就是国会现在目前持久不决的最大原因就是对于 TEA 地区的定义问题，但是现在看来可能也是尽快会解决的这个争议。
If Congress does not agree on passing this bill, the big bill, then the Obama administration will increase the amount.
所以就是如果国会最终不能在这个法案上取得一个共同的一致的决定的话，他们
I think that 70% chance the bill that has been proposed will go through.
我认为70%的可能这个法案会被通过的。
30% chance we will get a straight 2 or 3 year extension with no complicated changes.
30%的可能就是国会不能达成一致意见。如果是不能达成一致意见的情况下，他们必须要把这个旧的法案再延长2至3年的时间，就是没有任何变化的情况。
The final question, which is very, very important, is which projects and which applications will be grandfathered or adjudicated under the old law.
然后就是说这个什么样的 case， 什么样的申请以及什么样的项目可以依旧使用旧法案，受到旧法案的受到旧的法律的保护呢？
So the 90-page bill is moving forward and may go through, but we could get a simple, clean extension for 2 years with no price increase and with the administration increasing. That's repeated. So that is all of the news that we have so far today. I apologize to you if I couldn't give you the answers, but I can assure you the information we have provided today is very accurate. Thank you for everybody who has attended. We had over 200 people registered. We still have dozens and dozens of people online with lots of questions. I'm going to shoot through and answer all of your questions. I apologize for those of you who are not from China. You don't have some of these waiting line problems, but let's move forward with the first question, and it's in Chinese, so please somebody translate.
That's all right.
While that's being translated, I'm going to answer the next question. The person says, can I come to the US on a B visa? Can we adjust our status by coming to the US on a B visa? Not if you enter with a B and plan to adjust. If you were already here for 2 or 3 months, you can safely do it because you didn't know the government was going to give you that option. The big issue is, did you tell the truth to the officer when you are entering the US as to your purpose of visit? So if you've been here more than 2 or 3 months, yes. If you arrive tomorrow, my feeling is it's very dangerous to file for adjustment unless you've been here at least 2 or 3 months. Question number 1, that was in Chinese. Let's see if we can take that.
Should I translate the answer just?
Can you answer it?
No, the one you just answered.
No. Oh, yeah. No, I think we covered that.
Okay. So I filed my 526 in February 2014. On August 5th, me and my wife came to the US on B1, B2 visa. My child is in the US on F1. We've been in the US for over 60 days. Now my lawyer told me my 526 is likely to be approved. I want to ask, if my 526 is approved recently, can I file adjustment in the US?
If you were my client, I would try to file you. Of course, your case has not yet been approved. As of the month of October, it could be done. Let's hope that in the month of November it could be done. I would recommend that you wait and stay in the United States. Your case was filed February 2014. I agree. I think that we could expect to see an approval quite quickly in your case, and the advice your lawyer gives you seems to be the correct advice.
回答是说，如果你的 case 是近期真的可以被批准的话，我们建议你留在美国。因为如果等到11月你的 case 批准了，然后我们得到政府的消息说11月仍旧可以递交485的话，那对于你的情况来说就是一个非常好的那个结果了。
So, I'm not sure what this next question is about work and travel permit in Chinese.
It says, is the work permit and travel permit the same card? The answer is yes, it's a combo card.
It's a combination card. You can actually apply for a separate one, but it's a very good one.
Okay, next.
The next question, another very smart question. People say December 11 might not be the real deadline for the extension. It could be any time before, as long as the Congress reaches an agreement. I commented on that, and that is absolutely correct. The extension could actually go through in 2 or 3 weeks, and we don't know how much time we've got. It may leave it to the last minute, but it may happen in 2 or 3 weeks' time.
Do I have to translate?
Yes.
这个问题问到说，有人说12月11日可能不会是延期的真正的截止日，就是说现在任何时候都有可能会政府就会通过一个提案，是不是这样的？我们答案说是的，因为就是说他们可能不会等到12月11日才延期这个EB-5项目，所以可能就是在今后的2到3周之内，他们可能就会有一个动作了。
I have a question here from a gentleman born in Mexico, so we won't translate it, but this gentleman, he filed for EB-5 on May 2014, so his case has been pending now for about 17 months. He's got a few more months to stay in the US, and his lawyer's saying that it's likely to be approved soon. I think it will be. Even though he's currently at about 17 or 18 months, that seems to be a magical number. Lots of our approvals are 12 months, 13 months, 14 months, but Very few take more than 18 months. So this gentleman who's born in Mexico, I think you're going to be fine. You've got 8 months to go. Don't worry about it because you can always extend your E2 visa. You should sleep well tonight. Next one. Now China has many small amount loan companies which can loan money to borrowers. If EB-5 investors borrow from such a company, will CA supply more strict and da-da-da-da? You know, the bottom line is, this is a question about loans, is that if you're going to get a loan, you must show that you have collateral, that you have enough money to secure that loan. It's not okay to just get a loan which is unsecured. It must be secured by property which you own that is greater than the loan. I think we should translate that to Chinese.
No, I think what he's asking is what is the required qualification for companies to extend a loan in China? Like, do they require it to be a specific bank or a required skill to extend a loan?
Well, the answer is we haven't seen that as a problem yet, but there was a proposal in the Grassley bill to make sure that you could only borrow it from reliable institutions. So that may come through in the new legislation. We do not see that as a big problem today. Let's move on to the next question.
It's asking, can you still do the H-1B lottery if you have the combo card?
Absolutely, yes. There's no reason why you cannot file for H1 if you have the combo card. So the answer is it's always good to keep underlying status. So the answer to that is yes. With what kind of visas to enter the US an applicant who has been approved can file the adjustment? Again, the H and L are the only 100% safe ones to use, but the F1 arguably can be used, but there you do want to wait at least 60 to 90 days if possible. I'm not going to translate. Let's go to the next one. Here's a question. I'm one of your clients. I'm a lawyer. Just a question. My priority date is 2013. I'm AOS. I'm planning to leave the US this winter from December. I do have the advance parole, but I'm concerned. I don't even want to read this. It's too personal. You need to contact me offline. Don't worry. You're fine. You're confused about these different dates. Your question is, should you travel or not travel? You know what? Normally I tell people don't travel. Go home, visit your family. You're fine. Contact me offline. You're my client. You don't need to go through here. I'm not worried about your situation. You're completely safe. Do I need to file before October 15 and for 485? No, my hope is that they will extend it, and you're born in Mexico, so you don't have the problem. This is for Chinese. Chinese have the problem because Chinese have the waiting line. Mexicans, people born in other areas, people born in Hong Kong, people born in Macau, Taiwan, you don't have any problems. The next question I have is in Chinese, so Vivian, you have to read it.
It says why it is in the same fiscal year, but in the October the waiting line moved forward for 2 weeks, but in November it moved forward for 6 weeks. Why there is such a big difference?
Well, because October was the last. That's a very smart question. Why in the first month of October did they only move it a little bit, and then in the second month of the year they moved it a large amount? Because the truth is, the amount that they move in the beginning of the year is not clear to the government. The government is basically, think of walking in the dark with no light. They don't know what they're doing. They're just walking. They're feeling their way like a blind man walking in a room. So that explains why, because for the first month of the new year, they should have moved much more, but they only moved a little bit. In the second month, they moved a lot, which is very good. We don't know what's going to happen in the third month because it's a blind man walking in the dark. Well, a blind man walking in the light. Doesn't know where he's going. Blind man probably knows better than me. Next question. Which one? Where are we?
In the October visa bulletin, the DFF is May 1st, 2015. Can I-485 still be filed even if prior to the approval of their associated
No,
526?
no. You must have the 526 approved before you can file the adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot file unless you have approval. Next.
Borrow money from the bank and use a third party. What? Borrow money from the bank and third parties. No, you can never use a third party's property as collateral.
You need to read that question. I think that's from an attorney. I think you need to read the question and then answer it.
It says if a EB-5 petitioner's investment funds is gifted from his parents, but his parents borrow the money from a bank and use a third party's property as collateral to secure the loan, will USCIS apply the new loan collateralization policy to the parent's loan? Bottom line is you can never use a third party's property as a collateral to get a loan from any bank. The borrower and the pledger has to be the same person.
I think you need to repeat that in Chinese because it's very simple and people aren't catching it.
他问的问题是，申请人能不能用第三者的财产作为抵押去向银行借款？这个问题是非常明显的，就是你绝对不能用第三人的财产作为抵押物。借款人和抵押人都必须是同样的人，你只能用你名下的房产去跟银行做一个抵押贷款，然后贷款出来的钱，当然你可以赠予你的小孩或赠予你的父母做EB-5移民，但是借钱的人和抵押的人必须是同一个人。
The bottom line is, I mean, in China you can use somebody else's property to get a loan, but in America you can only use your own property to get a loan. I can't get a loan based on my next door neighbor's property. It doesn't make sense, and that's why the government has a problem with it. Let's go to the next question. I'm going to go very fast right now because we've been going for a long time and I want to finish in the next few minutes.
If the government decides that we can use DFF, can we lock in a child's age who's already over 21 years old at the time that the 526 is approved? The answer is yes.
The answer is yes, provided when you deduct the time the petition is pending, the child's CISPA age is under 21. It's not complicated. You deduct the time the petition was pending and then you bring the child back under 21. If you use DFF to lock, the child is safe. So all this problem about 19-year-olds and even some 20-year-olds, that problem is going to go away if you can use DFF. For most people. The only one that would be in huge trouble is somebody who got approved in 1 month or 2 months. Then they're in big trouble because they have nothing to deduct.
Okay, this person says, I paid my child's MVC fee bill, but his interview was cancelled by the Guangzhou counselor. Why is there such risk for the cancellation?
Okay, so why they had to cancel some interviews is that the government by mistake scheduled appointments in October before the extension. So you need to write to the consulate. They're going to reschedule it very soon. There were quite a few cancellations for October because, I don't know, they scheduled without the government having approved the extension. That's not a big problem. Next.
It's in English. You can read it.
Which one? When the new bill comes out?
Wait.
When the new bill comes out, does the price go up immediately or is there a grace period? Nobody knows that. My guess is that it's going to come out and there's not going to be much of a grace period. It's going to be almost automatically. Second question, principal applicant is in China, child is in the US, can the principal apply through consular and the child apply through adjustment? Answer, yes. Yes. There are several cases where the child may not want to go back to Guangzhou for whatever reason, so the parent can adjust be processed in Guangzhou, and then when they enter the US, you can file the adjustment for the child, but you have to be very careful and make sure that the number is going to be current, because if the government retrogresses the number by 8 months, the DFF, if they retrogress the DFF by 8-9 months, you could have a situation where the parents approved and the child's not current. So it's complicated. At this time of the year, it should be safe. So if you have an interview in Guangzhou in the next month or two, I'm not so worried, but I suspect the government will retrogress the numbers as we get closer to the end of the year. Gee, we have so many interesting questions. I'm going to take the English ones first, and then we can try and summarize the Chinese ones. What if I hold B1 and declare there's a 520, so US knows one has a preconcept? Can one enter the US to file for it? Wow, what a smart question. You must be a lawyer. So in this case, the person comes to the airport and they say, what's the purpose of your visit? And they say, I'm coming here because I want to file an adjustment. And they have proof that they told the officer the truth. And the officer says, okay, I'll admit you. Yeah, that could work. The person can also be deported from the airport, so I have to be careful. Thanks for your answer. Yeah, thank you. We get a lot of thank yous. Thank you. Thank you also. But I'd like to understand if you recommend to wait for approval until I file. Yes, I'm recommending that, 100%. This person is, I'm exploring and evaluating EB-5 projects. Will I be able to catch the deadline if I start the process from now? If you're only looking for EB-5 right now, my advice to you is make a decision and try and file in the next 30 days. That's my advice to you, because otherwise you could be paying 50 to 60% more. What are the English questions? Oh my gosh, because I've been waiting for 17 months, is it possible that before the approval, yes, you could have an RFE, but really 18 months seems to be magical. I think you're going to get an approval very soon. Gift from a boyfriend, is that okay? Boyfriend is married. Yeah, we see it all the time. What can I say? Some people may not be happy with that, but a gift from a boyfriend is fine, provided we can document where the boyfriend got the money from. So, good choice. Excuse my bad joke, but yeah, you can take a gift. We filed a few of those cases. Can an investor borrow money from a company that he owns and use his shares in the company as security if the value of the shares is 3 times greater than the loaned amount? He does not want to get out as dividends due to tax reasons. Well, that's a problem then. So the answer is no. You need to pay some taxes. Take the money out as a dividend. Where are you going with that, Vivian?
I think it's okay.
Vivian's saying that it's okay. We'd really have to look at the documents. The shares of the company are okay. If the value of the company is clearly 3 times greater than the loaned amount, then it is possible to structure that correctly. Obviously, if they pay a dividend, that is the cleanest way. So we're in pretty good shape on that. I think we finished the English questions. Wait, okay. Scroll down to that next English question where it says the company's net value is?
Good. Net value is good.
Yeah, if the net value is good, then I'm going with Vivian, and I think you're going to be okay. Let's take the Chinese questions. I think what I'm going to do now, because I'm using too much time, some people in America, New York, need to go to sleep, and some people in China need to go back to work. So let's take 2 of the last Chinese questions. Vivian?
He's saying if the PA has F1 restatement, is that going to have an impact on the 485?
Yes. And I'm going to repeat that point. because there was reinstatement, in order to get reinstatement, the principal applicant had to admit being out of status. Because the person admitted being out of status, even for 1 day, the adjustment could be denied, and yet this ability to file adjustment in October is so good that I would tell the client, look, there's a risk the adjustment could be denied, but let's file anyway, because even if the adjustment is denied, you can still get a work permit and travel permit, but the person may have to go back to Guangzhou for the final green card. So the answer is yes. Last question of the night.
You want to take a Chinese one?
Chinese. I think we've answered all the English.
It says, I plan to go to the U.S. in December on B1, B2, and apply for 485 after 60 days. Do you think it's okay?
I think that it's risky. Let's first make sure that you can file in December. This is very, very dangerous situation. If you come in and you say you're coming for Disneyland, and then after 60 days you file for adjustment, there could be a risk. A very aggressive lawyer may say yes. At this time, because I'm talking to almost 200 people, I would say you have to be very careful, very careful. Make sure you have a good lawyer. Make sure, there was a very good suggestion here, if the person says to the officer, look, I'm coming for holiday, but I also have an approved 526 and I may file for an adjustment in 2 months' time, and the officer lets you in and you can prove that you said it. How do you prove that you said it? Then you may be safe. So it's very, very dangerous, but it's something you want to discuss with your lawyer. I would actually get the opinion of 2 or 3 lawyers. Very, very dangerous to come in December and wait 2 months. But let's see what the government says about it, and it may be possible, but very dangerous. Folks, we've been going for over an hour and a half. I can see from so many good questions that some of this has been useful to you. As soon as we get the answer to this information, we will share it with you. I hope that tonight's program has been very interesting to you, very technical, but I'm sure that each one of you has got new knowledge. So thank you and good night.